Hello Knights fans, back with this week's edition of the FDU Men's Basketball Report with Coach Greg Herenda. Coach, we'll start with the big news this week. Obviously not the way you wanted to start the week. Monday, you found out your star guard, Darian Anderson, had his foot surgery, successful foot surgery, but he'll miss the remainder of the season. Obviously, Darren's career has been one of the best here at FDU history, but what does it mean for your team for the rest of this season as you look ahead?
Well, let the truth be known. The inside people knew he was done before the Central Connecticut game. So we played that game knowing that the prospects didn't look really well, and I think we tried to make an adjustment and almost won that game, and then we found out for sure that he was gone, and yeah, it's just really sad. That's the only. And we have our alums come in and tell our players all the time about cherish the moment. And Coach Patino was in our locker room back in the day talking about the precious present, and that, you're not giving anything. There's nothing that should be taken for granted, and it happens in our locker room. And now that it's happened, it seems like it's happened all across the country. There are a lot of players that are having injuries that are ending their seasons, or in Darian's case, his collegiate career. So, but Darian's still a huge part of our team. He's like up at Central. He's like having another coach. The kids, he's a leader. So the players respect him. They listen to him, and he's still very much a part of this team. Although he can't score points and steal the basketball and win games like he's done for 3.5 years for us.
Definitely, and as you said, you missed him the first 2 games of the season, and now he's been out the last 2 games, so you've started to get a look at what it's going to be with the terms of the rotation and all that. So your team went up to Central, tough loss, 1-point loss, and then you came back here to the Rothman Center, and the team showed a lot of resilience. Coming back, you beat the defending NEC champions, Mount St. Mary's, in this building. Also another 1-point game. You played a lot of tight games in the NEC this season. Talk about your team's resiliency and how great it is to see them bounce back after that hard loss on Thursday, though.
Yeah, we've gone through a lot, over the last, even since we won the championship, but this year specifically, really tough games, a really tough schedule. So we've had a lot thrown at us, and these kids, we're practicing as well as we've ever practiced the last few days. So I'm really proud of my team. I think right now we're like 2 or 3 games out of or maybe 2 games out of a home game, and this league is so crazy right now. Like I said earlier on our show, Brian, I think 5 or 6 games can win the league. And right now, you have Wagner with 2 and Robert Morris with 2. But we just have to concentrate on what's ahead of us. And we have a really good St. Francis Brooklyn team, coming into our building tomorrow night.
Yeah, so one of the key guys who's also been big for you here in the absence of Darian, got an NEC primetime performer, was Caleb Bishop. He seems to really be finding his flow offensively. Yes. He scored double digits the last couple games. He started the last 6 games, I believe, for you now in the lineup. Talk about how he's really developed here, especially in this mid part of the season.
Well, the key with Caleb is to realize where he's come from. And he was a St. Peter's prep student, transferred to St. Anthony's, and was really a 5-man. And his game is evolving. And so your point guard that you bring in, like Jaleel, is a point guard for his whole life. And Darnell was a 2-guard his whole life. But Caleb has never been anything his whole life, and he's evolving into a great player. He's got high major athletic ability, and he's got to progress his skills into that level. And then he can play anywhere in the country, quite literally. And that's up or down. And I tell him that. I say, Caleb, you can be, he wants to be a pro. All these guys want to. And now he's starting to feel and come into his own. He's only a sophomore, so people look at him like, he's a sophomore. Jaleel's a freshman. Noah's a freshman. Elijah's a freshman. Pat McNamara's a sophomore. So there's a changing of the guard going on here quietly. And we're young, but it's a good young. And Caleb is a really good player that can be a great player. And that process, though, doesn't happen easy, but it's happening.
Yeah, definitely. So now it's kind of a weird NEC schedule this season. You have the games Thursday and Saturday, as we get the horn going off. Thursday and Saturday, it's 2 teams you haven't seen yet this season, pretty far into the schedule.
Right.
What have you seen so far? St. Francis having obviously a good season. Brian's struggling a little bit. But what have you seen from those 2 teams?
Well, first game first, St. Francis is a mirror image of Mount St. Mary's. They make a lot of threes. They press. The only thing Mount does differently is they play zone, and St. Francis plays man-to-man. So we're going to have to take care of the basketball, contain their threes, get the ball inside. So it's really a good comeback game for us because we just played a team very similar to them. And Bryant is just an offensive kind of juggernaut. Whoever Timmy puts on the floor, they can score the basketball. They've been close in a lot of games. They only have 1 win, but they could easily have 4 wins. And it just shows how, even and how, this league there's not much separation, and that's what makes February, which is a week away, and March so exciting in this league. It's equal opportunity at its very best.
Definitely. And lastly, on this week's radio show, talk about your guest, another CBS sports analyst.
Adam Zucker he's the guy now. Adam is a real good friend, and it seems like the CBS that's kind of our partner TV station. But Adam is he's the voice of reason behind all the craziness with Steve Lapis and Pete Gillen and Drew Kaliski, who's the director. But Adam is a really good friend, and he's a major in CBS sports with college football. So he's a tremendous friend of our program, of mine, and now he's a fan of Fairleigh Dickinson University basketball, which is important. Brian, I'm going to be wearing sneakers on Thursday night and on Saturday. I don't want our fans to think I'm going to play in place of Darian, but we're wearing them. This is the 25th anniversary of Coaches versus Cancer, so I just want to make people aware that they can donate, and we can put it online. And I think when people come to the game, they'll figure out how to do that. But I think the awareness to realize how much we lost, Rich Conrad to cancer, and we lost Peter Tierney to cancer just so recently, and it touches everybody's home, but it's touched our home here at Fairleigh Dickinson University. So it's going on nationally. People see it on television, and they'll see it Thursday night here. St. Francis coaches will be wearing sneakers, and the same thing up at Bryant this weekend. So I want everybody to realize that we're reaching out and trying to fight and find a cure for a really, really horrible disease.
Definitely, the Coaches vs. Cancer, a big contributor across the nation, and we'll definitely have the link to the donation on our website at fdunites.com. So keep an eye out for all of that. So the Knights will be back here at the Rothman Center. That's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. against St. Francis Brooklyn. Come out early because we're going to recognize Darian Anderson for all of his accomplishments prior to the game, prior to the anthem. Yeah, you'll get a chance to get a nice Darian Anderson poster. We'll do a nice little ceremony. That'll be right before the anthem. So definitely get here, get in your seats early for the 7 o'clock tip. And then on Saturday, the Knights are up at Bryant, up in Smithfield, Rhode Island, to take on the Bulldogs. As always, check back at fdunites.com for all the links and all information about FDU basketball.